When the OnePlus Pad came out last year, I thought it offered decent value, priced under $500 and with a premium feeling experience. However, the software left me wanting more compared to other Android tablets, especially when it came to multitasking. Fast forward to now, they've released this, the OnePlus Pad 2. And not only did it fix my biggest issues with the first generation, but I think this might be one of the best Android tablets you can buy today. Let's talk about it. Before we continue on, huge thanks to Geology for sponsoring this video. When it comes to skincare, people, especially us guys, might not know the importance of building a routine or even where to begin. But Geology makes it simple. Since I'm on camera a lot, my goal was to have clearer skin and to keep acne at bay. So I took a 60-second quiz on their website, which matched me to a kit tailor-made for my specific skincare needs and budget. It shipped right to my doorstep, and so far, I'm very happy with the results. Geology prides themselves in the efficacy of their products using dermatologist-recommended ingredients that are proven to work. Plus, their products don't just stop at your face. They have a wide array of solutions for hair care as well as body care as well. If you would like to work on healthier skin and support the content that we make here on Denki, head over to geology.com by scanning the QR code on your screen or using the link in the description below. Take the quiz and use code DENKI70 to get 70% off your customized skincare trial set. So far, I've spent about a week with the OnePlus Pad 2, and honestly, I'm surprised with just how much I like this thing. It might not be perfect, after all, it is a mid-range tablet, but I think it checks a lot of boxes that most people are looking for. Starting with one of the smaller details, I like that the look is pretty similar to last year's tablet. There's nothing standout or flamboyant about it. We even get a safer silver colorway this time around as opposed to the green from last year. But for me personally, the simpler it is, the better, and I love just how understated this whole design is. And I even like how relatively thin the bezels are on the front. Now, perhaps the headlining feature for the OnePlus Pad 2 is the performance you are getting for the price. This guy is outfitted with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 SoC, as well as with 12 gigs of RAM. I've tried this chip plenty of times on flagship phones this year, and it's really nice to see on a tablet as well. Yeah, buddy? Oh, keep going. Lately, I've been trying to play some more Zenless Zone Zero because the combat's actually pretty fun. Yeah! And as a Hoyoverse game, it's also very pretty as well. Crank all of the graphics settings to the max, and ZZZ will run anywhere between 40 to 60 FPS, depending on what's happening in the game. And that's with Pro Gamer Mode turned on with OnePlus's gaming overlay to give you the best possible performance. Considering that we have a 3K 144Hz display to push pixels to, the gaming chops won't necessarily blow your socks off compared to a phone with the same SoC, but for a tablet that costs in the ballpark of $500 to $550, I think it's exceptional. Speaking of which, obviously most people use tablets for content consumption, and the screen on the OnePlus Pad 2 is quite nice. It's an IPS panel that gets very bright, peaking at 900 nits when you take it outside in the sunlight. It's also plenty sharp at 303 pixels per inch, and just like last year, this tablet has an aspect ratio of 7:5. This might seem a bit odd compared to other tablets out there, but I find this to be a nice middle ground for both reading manga as well as watching video. I will say, however, that if there is any gripe I have with regards to consuming media on on this screen is that while it's pretty close to 4K resolution and supports Dolby Vision HDR, it's kind of hard to find apps that truly take advantage of this functionality. YouTube, which is playing right now, works the best, giving you the most playback options. However, Netflix, for example, which is commonly used on tablets like this, and really was one that I believed would support features like Dolby Vision, only tops out at 1080p SDR. Especially watching a show like Drive to Survive, you really notice that lower streaming resolution, which is a shame. Despite this minor snag, one of my favorite parts of this OnePlus Pad 2 has to be its speaker setup. Gonna play a royalty-free track off of Spotify. Yeah, these speakers do honestly get pretty loud. There are 6 of them around the perimeter of the tablet, and there's even a little bit of kick on the low end. Now, it's not going to be as boomy as having maybe a dedicated Bluetooth speaker, but raw dogging the tablet sound ain't too bad. Speaking of raw dogging, you won't have to necessarily do those on your flights if you have a OnePlus Pad 2, because the battery life is very good. With a 9,510 milliamp hour cell, if we're talking pure video playback, it will outlast most long-haul international flights, and with great standby, even if this tablet is just chilling in your bedroom waiting for a Netflix binge, I reckon it will easily last through a full week of on and off use. However, probably my favorite aspect to this OnePlus Pad 2 that genuinely feels like an upgrade has to be the software. Ever since Google debuted Android 12L a few years ago, the OS has seen quite a few changes in the UI department to help make the most of tablet-sized screens. Probably the most important was better app and window management, including the addition of a proper taskbar to help keep sight of open and commonly used apps. However, when it came to the original OnePlus Pad, I was pretty disappointed to find out that it ignored these key tablet-focused multitasking features. Now, the great news is that OnePlus have had a lot of time to iterate on their tablet experience between a year or so of updates, and it's also clear that they've learned a lot from the release of the OnePlus Open, which is their tablet, phone, foldable hybrid that I absolutely loved. This not only integrated that all too important taskbar, but also added an amazing new multitasking feature called Open Canvas. And thankfully, it made its way onto the Pad 2 as well. Basically, Open Canvas is OnePlus's take on split-screen app management. It's quite nice and has really good flow to it. I have Spotify, YouTube, and Netflix opened up at the same time. Why anyone would want that is a whole other story, but you can really swap any of these apps out with whatever you want. And it's cool because there's very minimal compromise to screen real estate or UI scaling. Tap up here, you get a bunch of options, whether you want to fully focus on Spotify, to expand it and make that a full screen view with the 2 other halves on the bottom. You can also drag the app and change the order of what is being shown. You can just add something to the side. It's very customizable and flexible. OnePlus have really stepped up their game with the Pad 2. So far, I've only mentioned most of what I like about the OnePlus Pad 2, but there are plenty of trade-offs potential buyers should consider before picking one of these bad boys up. Since I started the positives with design, something that feels strange with this device in the hands is the transition between the aluminum body and the front glass. Specifically, this bit right here. It feels quite sharp. Like, it's not gonna cut your hand or anything, it's not that bad, but it definitely feels a bit annoying and irritating to the touch, especially on your palms and when you're gripping it with your thumbs. The next point is a bit of a goofy one. Now, obviously, taking photos on your tablet is quite a questionable experience, But I do think that the cameras on the OnePlus Pad 2 could be a tad bit better, especially in the scheme of video conferencing. Also, while OnePlus have not been able to send over the optional accessories for this tablet in time for me to try them out for this review, it's a shame that the Pad 2, which is relatively value-oriented, doesn't include the pen in the box. Obviously, it's kind of a mixed bag on which manufacturers include accessories like pens and keyboards and whatnot with their devices. Apple notoriously makes you buy their $100 plus pencil in addition to the iPad. However, for folks looking on the Android side of things, there is a pretty high chance that the next generation flagship Galaxy Tab will probably include one for the price of entry, at least if history repeats itself. The Samsung will also probably cost a bit more at retail, but check out with a couple of extra accessories on OnePlus.com, and that price difference will shrink quite a bit. Speaking of the competition, I know that there are some hardcore Android fanboys out there that'll hate to hear this, but the iPad Air is also an option to consider as well, especially if you plan on gaming. The performance and optimization you're getting out of the Apple Silicon M2 could be worthwhile for some people out there, as long as you're open to using iPad OS. All of the downsides I've mentioned in this video don't necessarily detract from the fact that the OnePlus Pad 2 is one of the best Android tablets you can buy today. But let me know what you think in the comments below. And otherwise, thanks for watching this video on Denki Channel.